The Atlanta Falcons, they hold the number 8 overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. They have a new head coach. In today's video, I am going to discuss how the Falcons should address their NFL draft needs ahead of the 2024 NFL Draft. And then we're going to mock draft the first 3 picks right here on Football Scout 365. Now in 2023, the Atlanta Falcons, they had shown some flashes on the offensive side of the football, but overall they were inconsistent. They ranked 22nd in passing yards per game, but they were stronger in the run game, ranking 9th in rush yards per game in 2023. The offense, as a whole, they ranked 17th in total yards per game, but they just ultimately struggled to score points, averaging just 19 points per game. Now on the defensive side of the football, the Falcons, they were solid against the pass. They ranked 8th in the NFL, but they struggled against the run, where they ranked 20th overall in yards per game allowed. The 2 areas on defense that really stood out from a more in-depth viewpoint is their ability to get pressure on opposing quarterbacks. They also did not create enough turnovers, ranking near the bottom of the league in that category as well. So now with a new head coach, moving away from Arthur Smith after a 7-10 season in a weak NFC South division where they finished 3rd, the Falcons, they went back to an old familiar name with the franchise. For anyone who may or may not remember, Raheem Morris was the interim coach of the Falcons back in 2020. Now, Morris's experience as a coach, it's really diverse. And he was the head coach of the Buccaneers, by the way, from 2009 to 2011, where he had 1 winning season in 2010 that ended without a playoff appearance. Now, one thing that is certain, he is a defensive-minded coach. He was a safety in college at Hofstra. He was also a grad assistant at Hofstra. He would eventually move up to a defensive back coach at Cornell. He would come back to Hofstra to coach the same position. He would eventually become a college defensive coordinator at Kansas State. And then he got a shot to be a defensive quality control coach at Tampa Bay under John Gruden back in 2002, and was part of the Bucs Super Bowl winning season back in 2002 as well. If we fast forward to now, he's been with the Rams since 2021 as their defensive coordinator under Sean McVay, was part of another Super Bowl winning team back in 2021. So he has an understanding of what it takes to win. He has been part of 2 winning cultures as an assistant coach. He has head coaching experience already. Not a lot of success as a head coach, but he has learned from some of the best in the business. So what can we expect from Raheem Morris, and what can we expect from his defense as the Falcons head coach in 2024? And what style of offense will he decide to adopt overall? Now, in terms of his defensive style, the Rams, a season ago, they were very multiple on defense. They aligned in a 3-man front 53% of the time with a base 3-3-5 defense, and they were primarily a zone-based defense, running zone nearly 70% of the time. And they led the league in their usage of 2 high coverages. They ranked in the middle of the NFL in terms of blitz rate overall, relying more on 3- and 4-man pressures rather than bringing the extra defender. Now, as far as match with the current Falcons defense, the Falcons, they were a top 5 team in their usage of 3-man fronts. They mixed up their man and zone coverage a bit more than Morris did when he was at LA. So it makes a lot of sense to me why they brought him in the first place. The personnel matching the mindset, it's a big deal at the end of the day. Now, as far as the offense is concerned, Morris hired a former PFFer in Zac Robinson, who has spent his entire career as a coach with the LA Rams. He has been a quarterback coach, and then he moved up to pass game coordinator for the Rams in 2022. So the offense for the Falcons should take on a similar approach or style to what we see with the LA Rams under Sean McVay. So what does that look like in basic terms? They will run the football a lot to set up the pass game. They're going to use a ton of play action. There's going to be rollouts and a lot of QB movement to the edge of the defense. The Rams a year ago, they were heavy 11 personnel. That means 1 back and 1 tight end with 3 wide receivers on the field the majority of the time. By comparison, the Falcons, they led the NFL a year ago in their usage of 12 personnel, which is 1 back and 2 tight ends. So there is going to be a change in terms of how things look, but the primary focus will center around the run game. And when you have Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier already in place, you have a great place to start from the very beginning. Okay, so that's the overview of what the Falcons will look like in terms of their scheme on offense and defense. Let's talk about the potential pending free agents and some of the team needs and run a quick 3-round NFL mock draft. Now, in terms of key potential free agent losses, you have defensive lineman Calais Campbell, a key piece that Raheem Morris might want to retain. Campbell, he's 37 years old, so maybe they end up moving on at the end of the day. You could lose corner Jeffrey Okudah. Outside linebacker edge rusher Bud Dupree is also a player you might try to retain, but he could also move on. You are not losing anyone of note on the offensive side of the football. Your key returners on defense will include safety Jesse Bates, a key piece to this defense a year ago. You have linebacker Keith Ellis, outside linebacker Lorenzo Carter should be back, and then corner AJ Terrell as well. So you have pieces on the defensive side of the football as well as the offensive side of the football. Now on the offensive side, the Falcons, they have Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier at running back, as I already mentioned. You've got Kyle Pitts at tight end. You've got Drake London at wide receiver. The offensive line, it graded pretty well a year ago, according to PFF. They might look at some additional help on the interior of the offensive line, but overall, it looks like the quarterback and the wide receiver position will be a key focus in the draft and in free agency. The clear team needs consist of the quarterback position, interior defensive line depth, corner, wide receiver, and possibly some help on the interior of their offensive line. So let's dive into this 3-round mock draft and see what's available, who we can get to fill all of these immediate needs on the Falcons roster and help them get to the next step in the process, and that's winning that NFC South division, a division that is ripe for the taking, in my opinion, on a Falcons roster that is absolutely in a position, just a few key pieces away from taking that next step, in my opinion. Now today, I am going to use PFF's mock draft simulator with my own NFL draft big board rankings. You can find our top 100 rankings over on our website, footballscout365.com. So I'm going to pick the best available at each position of need for the Falcons here in the first 3 rounds of the 2024 NFL draft. Now, at pick number 8 as the Falcons' fake general manager, I am going to approach this draft with a primary need that every NFL team needs, and that is the quarterback position. Now, Caleb Williams, he's already off the board. Drake May is also off the board, as is LSU quarterback Jayden Daniels. The one quarterback left is a player I believe has the potential to be considered at least the quarterback 2 in the 2024 NFL draft, and that is Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy. First off, I am drafting a winner and a player with a nice floor and an elite level ceiling. The mobility, by the way, and the arm talent is on par with the top players in this draft class. In addition, I always thought the Rams would be a great spot for JJ, where he could sit behind Matt Stafford for a year. But since the Falcons are going to potentially be running a similar style scheme on offense, the use of play action in an elite run game match everything you need to support an incoming rookie at the quarterback position. Now, in the early term, I might want to get a veteran quarterback to sit JJ behind just so he has a little bit of time to get acclimated to the NFL game. But that would be my pick if he is available at number 8 overall in the 2024 NFL draft. All right, let's move on to round 2. The Falcons have pick number 43 in the 2024 NFL draft. I still need a wide receiver. I can go edge rusher and I can go corner. I can go with North Carolina wide receiver Tez Walker, who is still available. Wide receiver Adonai Mitchell out of Texas is also available at corner. I have Iowa State's TJ Tampa. Edge rusher, I have 2 options in Penn State's Chop Robinson and Adiza Isaac. In this spot, I am going to go ahead and go with the edge rusher, Chop Robinson from Penn State, a player who possesses first-round talent. He has an explosive first step. He's a high motor player off the edge of the defense, and I believe he will be an instant impact player in his first season in the NFL. Now let's move to round 3, pick number 74 overall for the Falcons. Now that I have my franchise QB, I've got elite level potential at the edge rusher position, I can start to aim my focus towards the back end of my defense. Now in this area of the draft, I'm looking for value with high upside, and I need a scheme versatile defensive back, somebody that I can flip inside or outside at corner, who has the ability to play the nickel position. I also want a ball hawk at the position, somebody with experience in a zone-based defense to match the mindset of Raheem Morris. The best available on my board currently is Michigan's Mike Sainristil. He's a smaller corner. He's listed at 5'10", 180 pounds, but he is an absolute ball hawk. He has a high IQ, and he is drawing comparisons to the Honey Badger. I have a round 2 grade on him, while others have a round 3 grade or maybe even worse. So the value, in my opinion, is going to be tremendous here. I am going to roll the dice on Mike Sainristil in this spot. He is too good of a fit, in my opinion. He can provide that immediate impact in a Falcons secondary in need of desperate playmaking ability in their defensive secondary. Okay, that's going to do it. Let me know what you think about the 3-round mock draft. We've got the future franchise quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. We drafted an elite edge rusher in Chop Robinson out of Penn State, and we grabbed that high IQ ball hawk at defensive back in Mike Sainristil out of Michigan. We covered 3 key needs for the Falcons, and things are starting to look up for a team only a few pieces away from being a legit divisional contender. In addition, let me know your thoughts on Raheem Morris. I went a little bit more in depth because I wanted to provide key insights on how this team might look with a new head coach in 2024. I want to say thank you one more time. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, be a friend, tell a friend, and stay tuned for more great NFL draft content.